¿Qué lo que mi gente? Let's talk about Corona. Estoy aquí con otro video. Vamos a comenzar. Okay, so Corona. I'm basically making this video because I feel like I need to help educate people on how certain things work and some of the things that you should probably be doing, because people are going absolutely bonkers about the coronavirus. And it's not something that you should take lightly, but you should also think along the lines of what they're asking you to do. Like right now, to this current date, we have different press coming out and basically telling us the numbers as far as how many people are affected, where they're affected, how many people have passed away due to the virus, etc. Now, what I'm gonna need people to do is
calm down. Tranquilo.
Okay? Because what's happening is people are doing a lot of extra, and it's extra getting on my nerves. Like, and let me just explain a couple of things. So, we have something out there called the coronavirus. Just to straighten out a lot of the stupidity aspect of it is, I've been looking on social media, which is not a good place to really look when it comes to certain things, because it's just gonna ruin your day. But I looked on social media, and I know certain people are taking things as a joke, which is, I guess, in its own right, fine, because that kind of lightens the mood of people just going into complete panic mode. But there was one thing that I was actually seeing on social media, indicating that people are getting the coronavirus because they're drinking Corona beer.
A what?
So all this time you've been drinking Corona beer, people like,
oh, I'm throwing my Coronas out.
Like, it's just so ridiculous.
What are you talking about? Like, first of all, and I know I probably said first of all already, but first of all.
Because it's just getting too crazy out here with this Corona crazy. The CC is on the move right now. But it's crazy because it's like, no, things like that, no. You have people who are not doing a lick of research or not listening at all, and they're thinking that this virus is coming from things that it's just like, what are you talking about?
Sir, what are you talking about, miss?
Like, this is not coming from none of that. Like, read your stuff. Like, make sure your sources are reliable. And this is what I keep telling people all the time. Like, people, they just get some little information of somebody they trust or somebody they just heard something from, and they like,
what?
And then they just jump right off the roof with this. Like, you cannot do stuff like that. Do your own research. You got people in these stores buying up a bunch of stuff or whatever the case is, which is not a bad idea, because obviously you don't really want to do it because you're just going into complete panic mode, but you're doing it because people are savages. Let's just be completely honest with it. People are savages. People are going to sit there and just go and buy up a bunch of stuff that they don't really need out of impulse. And when you're doing stuff like that, and you're not, and people are all over, they need different things as well, it's very selfish. And then you have everybody going into this craze because there are people who are like, okay, I understand I understand that is a very serious thing, but I'm not going to drive myself crazy over it. Like, obviously, because basically I feel like people are fighting so they won't have to be so clean. Like just me being completely honest about it, because the things that they're telling you that you have to do in order not to contract this or to use preventive measures is to wash your hands. Wash your hands and make sure that if you are coughing or sneezing, you're concealing it. A lot of people, even to this day, I've seen people coughing out.
And you just want to snuff them.
Because at the end of the day, it's kind of like, okay, I understand that you really don't care about whatever is being said about this particular virus. However, people are on edge. So when you coughing and when you're sneezing and different things like that, and you decide that you don't want to cover your mouth, you're trying
to get choked out. Because
my thing is, say for instance, right, if you have a person who's either a hypochondriac, which is a person that if you could tell them that they're sick and then all of a sudden they start coughing. Like, that's just to give an example of what a hypochondriac is. They're not actually sick. It's just the information you have just received kind of makes the person feel like, oh, maybe I am sick. And then now you're coughing and then all of a sudden you're sick. You're really sick. The mind and the body, very, very strong things. And they have a bond that we don't even know completely the extent it even goes yet. However, I digress. What I'm saying is, when people are doing disrespectful things like that, when people are coughing out and sneezing, not covering their nose or their mouth and stuff like that, and then people are afraid and nervous about actually contracting such a virus, it's ridiculous. Like, it's so crazy how people are just so like careless in that way. Because I don't want to be like, I'm not going crazy about it, but I don't want to be near a person that's just coughing because we don't know what that cough is right now. You know what I'm saying? This virus seems to be going pretty wide, kind of fast, in my opinion. And you cough, it could be a common cold. You could just have the flu, whatever the case. I mean, I don't want to catch the flu from you, but you could have the flu, something that is, not as bad. But then you're doing it in close quarters. You're doing it in small quarters. Like, people are doing it on the train. People are doing it on the bus. People are doing it in your local Uber. Stuff like that. And it's like people are really, really on edge. Like, I'm outside and I'm like, okay, there's a decent amount of people that's still out here. But the more this virus becomes a thing that people are like taking certain urgency to, the less people you're going to see outside. But then when you think about it, it's kind of like, well, if there's no one outside, what are you like protecting yourself from? No one is outside. No one is outside. So, but yeah, it's just like that. I wanted to mention something about it because I feel like people, they're doing a lot of unnecessary things when you should just be doing the absolute necessary. Because when you're using up resources for other people to share, basically, you're going in these stores and you're picking up just any and everything. It's kind of like, huh? What? I get it on some aspect of it because, you are going to have other people out there and buying up a bunch of unnecessary things that they don't need. And it could be your normal day-to-day essentials, but people are just getting it just to get it, to have it in the house and to not need it, but you just got it in the house. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like stuff like that is completely unnecessary. And I'm not disregarding the severity of the situation as far as the virus itself. However, when it comes to things like that, I'm going in stores and I'm seeing like there's almost nothing on the shelves, and it's kind of like, how is that going to help you with fighting the virus? Because I mean, if you have it, the only thing you need is whatever's going to help you get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the only thing you actually need is what's going to help you get rid of it. Yes, you're going to be quarantined probably to your home, but there are so many different ways of, like, you know, still getting the things that you need. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what it is. They don't want you to be walking amongst other people and, you know, potentially coughing and, you know, coughing on your hand and then touching something, because people have naturally nasty habits and they don't really realize what they're doing until somebody points it out or whatever the case is. Like at my job, we're wiping everything down and on an hourly basis because there's so much traffic going back and forth, in and out and stuff like that. We don't know where you came from. We don't, if you bring a friend, it's kind of like, okay, that person doesn't, you know, that person never been here before, or they've been here before, but they don't live here. They don't live around here type situation. It's kind of like, so yeah, we're going to wipe this down again. And, you know, you're basically protecting yourself. But yeah, I mean, people just have to kind of calm down, and really what they're asking you is just to be clean. Like, did a virus have to become so bad to the point to where people are now trying to be clean when you should have been doing that already, kind of situation? You know, yeah, you don't want to contract things, but my biggest point today is, although you're trying to be clean, and I need people to really, really listen to what I'm saying right now. If you're trying to be clean, that's great. However, what I notice people are doing is they're sanitizing their hands all day. And what happens is you make yourself more susceptible to sickness when you keep washing things away. When you keep using antibacterial soap, when you keep using the hand sanitizer, and you're doing this all day, you're not allowing your body to actually hold on to good bacteria. There is such thing as good bacteria. And when you're washing it all away, then that means if you do come into contact with something, it doesn't even have to be the corona. If you come into contact with something, now your body's even more vulnerable because you don't even have good bacteria helping you fight off bad bacteria. You understand what I'm saying? Like, people have to stop going so crazy. So crazy. You have to expose yourself to certain things, like in your house or whatever like that. There's no way in the world you should be sanitizing your hands every 5 seconds in the house. This is where you live at. Like, this is where you are. I'm not going to come home and be like,
all right, so it's been an hour, so I need to do my hands again. No, you're in the house and you're okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fine. Like, if you start seeing yourself, if you start feeling like under the weather or whatever the case is, jump on it. Just be like, okay, I need to get some probiotics in me. I need to, you know, make sure that I'm not around other people because I don't feel that well, kind of situation. Like, we have to be a little bit more considerate. If we can be a little bit more considerate towards each other, if we can be more aware of what's actually going on and educating ourselves on the facts of things and not just hearsay, because they'll hear somebody say, oh, you gotta go and do this, blah blah blah, and it's kind of like, okay, I trust that person, I'm gonna run and go buy up a bunch of stuff. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, do your own research. And if you're doing your own research and your own research makes you feel like you have to go out and do all of these extra impulsive things, fine. You know what I'm saying? Your perception of something is unique from the next person, and that's completely fine. But a lot of people are just going crazy, and it's like, it's not for no reason, but it's a little too crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be clean. If you see somebody coughing or sneezing and stuff like that, make space. You know, like, it's just make some type of space to where it's like, okay, that person's coughing over there. Because, you know, a lot of people who either live in the city or work in the city, they have to use public transportation. Now, the government is saying stuff like, try not to use public transportation if you don't have to. And a lot of people have to. It's not a choice. It's not something you
could be like, you know what, I'm gonna just work from home. Not everybody has that capability or that luxury
to just work from home. And then if you're working from home and you're trying not to go outside, I can see why people are buying a certain amount of stuff. But if you're just like, okay, I'm not sick, I'm being very, very careful with what I'm touching and stuff like, because when you're in the subway, there's a lot of people trying to lean, there's a lot of people wearing gloves and stuff like that, and that's great stuff, right? But let me tell you something. When you use something like a pair of gloves, right? Because let me just tell y'all what I'm seeing. Because if I tell y'all what I'm seeing, y'all probably gonna start laughing your heads off, because it's like, wow. You know, because that's what I was saying. I was like,
wow. So
basically, what I've been seeing, because people are going, see, this is why it's not good to go into panic mode when it comes to stuff and just start doing like just the most, because then you get caught out there like this, right? So I'm on the train, I'm in a building, in a couple different locations, right? And I see people with gloves, and I see people, you know, with just different things that kind of, their version of protecting themselves from, like, when they have to touch something, etc., right?
Let me tell you what people are doing.
Now, if I wear a pair of gloves, right? 2 pair of gloves, I got them on my hand. I'm like, okay, if I have to touch anything, I'm not afraid to touch it because I'm wearing the gloves, right? But what happens when you have the gloves on?
And you've touched 90,000 surfaces, and then it's like, oh wait, I just got a phone call.
Hello? Yeah, no, I'm on the bus. No, ain't nobody walking around me right now.
What are you doing?
You just touched 1,000 things with these gloves on. And then you go touch something that has to go on your face. And then you're talking. And you're holding it there. And then guess what? When the phone call is over,
you're pressing on the button like this. Gloves are still on.
And you probably rubbed your eye, or, you know, I'm seeing people do these things instinctively because it's just a force of habit. And we can't really blame people for a force of habit. It's just, you're not even thinking of the fact that the reason why you put these on in the first place is because you wanted to protect yourself. But you're not exactly doing that. You're actually, I mean, if you're going to touch 1,000,001 things with your gloves on and then touch your phone or something that has to go in your face or in your mouth or whatever the case is, you might as well have your bare hands. Then once you touch something or whatever the case is, then once you go inside, because try to keep out of contact with your mouth, your nose, your eyes, anything that can, that can grow bacteria, that can help the bacteria grow. Try to keep your hands out of those places. And then when you go back inside from outside, you just wash your hands thoroughly or whatever. Sometimes people have to look at a YouTube tutorial on how to wash your hands properly. Do not be so prideful and be like, oh, I'm gonna just wash my hands real quick, blah, 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 I'm done. No, there is a proper way to wash your hands. And I can tell you right off the bat, most people don't know at all the proper way of washing their hands. Because if you were sitting underneath the sink
for like 5 seconds, and then you did this with your hands, and you walked out the bathroom, you don't know.
You have no clue on how to wash your hands properly. So there's that. And it's just, I need people to
calm down. Tranquilo.
Because with these type of things that's being done, you're not protecting yourself. You're not protecting yourself at all. You're still exposing yourself to certain things. And like I said, it's not bad to still introduce your body to certain bacteria, because we need that in order to actually survive. You can't just rid yourself of all sources of bacteria and think that you're going to have a fighting chance if, in fact, you come in account with the actual virus that everybody's going so crazy about. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is important stuff, and I need many people to watch this video, because what's happening is people are not thinking of things in the right way when it comes to actually protecting yourself. You're not protecting yourself if, first of all, you're gonna pick up and touch everything with the hands with the gloves on, and then put it near your face, or you're handling things that you are gonna handle again later without the gloves. Like, I just need people to think about these things and realize, like, you buying all this sanitizer, all this Perel and soaps and different things like that for disinfecting and all that stuff like that. Yes, it's good to have these things, but people are running through this stuff because they don't know how to use it or when to use it. They don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, talk to somebody who's in the industry that has to do these things on a constant basis, like your doctor when you do your physical, to see how you're doing or whatever, being as though certain things are going around, getting checkups. Ask them. Don't just be like, oh, I've been doing this, I've been doing that, blah, 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 and you think you just have it all in the bag. No, you have to ask people to know what it is that you can potentially do to save your money, to not be abusive to resources, and to actually be doing something that's giving to you versus taking away from you. You know, we need bacteria. I know it sounds crazy, and a lot of people are like, how we need bacteria? No, trust me, you need bacteria. Take your probiotics, things that are going to boost your immune system, because that is your biggest fighter. All this stuff you putting on your hands and doing all this other extra stuff and trying to avoid this and avoid that. Yes, it's okay to do those things because everybody perceives differently, but don't just do that stuff and then deprive yourself of actual bacteria that you need. In your house, all the bacteria that's like really in your house, whatever the case is, don't go sitting there like, yes, don't do the extra of, oh, I'm just gonna make sure everything is squeaky, 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 because it's like, yes, it should be clean. However, don't use these harsh products to kill the bacteria that's there and all that stuff like that, because that's the good bacteria that's in there. You need some. That's why when they say kids, when they little and they play in the dirt and stuff
like that, people like, oh no, that's how you get ringworms. Okay, that is a possibility.
That is a possibility, but the ultimate thing is those kids are the kids that don't usually get sick as often, because they're always playing in dirt. They're always on the floor, crawling around and stuff like that. Those are the kids with the strong immune systems, because they're building it up. The kids that want to put everything on their mouths and stuff like that, those are the ones with the strong immune systems.
Yes, it's absolutely disgusting, and I would rather it not happen. However, I know it has to happen.
But not so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't have your kid crawling on the ground in the street, you know. But if they're on the floor in the house, or they just happen to put something in their mouth, it's like, okay, yeah, let's not do that too much. But it's good that it's being done on some level. And I don't know how many people are going to understand where I'm coming from with this, but I'm hoping that once you've educated yourself, because you don't have to take my word for anything. You can always go and do your own research. It's just, I'm a person who is fairly informed when it comes to these things, because I think about my health first. In all situations, you could be the flyest person in the world, you could be the richest person in the world, you could be the person who has literally everything a person could possibly have. But if the health is not there, you really don't got nothing. You really have nothing. So, I digress. I digress because I just want to let you guys know, like, don't not take it serious, but don't go crazy like this, because what's happening is the resources are being used all the way up, and you're not really protecting yourself because people have natural nasty habits. When you got these full-blown gloves on, or you you think you're doing what you need to do, but then it's contradicting itself, because like I said, if you pick up your phone with the pair of gloves on that you've touched 1,000 things with, it may not have anything to do with corona, but it's still bacteria that's being transfer from one object to the next. Like the gloves are not cleaning themselves. That's why you touch whatever you need to touch or whatever the case is, and then you throw it away.
People out there on the subway using leather gloves. Now you ain't about to throw these leather gloves away.
But you, in your mind, you're feeling like, oh, well, I'm holding on this, I'm not getting nothing. But then you're going to go and take the gloves off when you get wherever you got to go and throw them in your pocket. Then when you take the gloves out your pocket, I'm just saying, like, I know, like, you're going to take your gloves out the pocket.
And once you take your gloves out your pocket, at some point in time, you're going to put your regular hand, your gloveless hand, back in your pocket.
So, with that being said, my biggest message here is be careful, be mindful, and try to educate yourself as much as possible on anything. Like, yes, these are good habits that people are like thinking like, okay, we got to be clean. We got to do this. We got to do that. And that's great. Do that on a regular basis so that you won't feel like you have to go so crazy when certain situations like this happens. Because what happens is you in there and you buying up all this stuff. And then it's like, okay, once they find like a for sure cure for everything and it's not even a worry really that much anymore, you got all this stuff in your house. And then you got people, okay, so not to get so sidetracked, but you have people out there selling things like sanitizer for like $40.
What are y'all doing? Because what's going to happen is they're going to throw you behind in jail. I don't know what you think you're doing, but what?
You're taking advantage. Like, stop being such savages. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be so savvy. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are obviously buying these things because they feel like they need it. And yes, they are going and buying things unnecessarily. But don't be a savage and be like, oh, $40. It's like, where? The bottle's this big. What are you talking about? Like, it's certain things that I just don't get. And then it's like, okay, you sold that for $40, right? You made $40 off of it, and you probably still make it because when people are in emergency mode, they're just willing to pay whatever amount of money they need to pay in order to get whatever they need to get so no one else could get it. But see, these are selfish tendencies because now you're paying $40 for something that's $2.99. Like, what? You can't, like, it's just too crazy. And then it's like, okay, so the person that's selling this, what are they getting out of this situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, by doing that, what are you getting out of the situation? You're trying to capitalize on people's panic. Just like as soon as a storm is about to come, because this is what this coronavirus is really reminding me of, when there's supposed to be some real major storm coming and people are just in the stores buying all kinds of stuff, and it's kind of like, okay,
you're acting like your door is going to be iced shut or something. It's too crazy. Like, the way, like, when you live in the city or whatever the case is, you don't have to do that stuff. That's for people that's in the boondocks.
You know what I'm saying? When you live in one of them places to where it's a road to nowhere kind of situation, and you're like, okay, it's too far for me to actually go and get this at a convenience, so I'm probably going to just stock up on it. But that's normal for that type of environment. When you live in a city, what are you doing? Like, I'm just going to lend the air real quick because I'm like, I need you to tell me what the hell you're doing. You live in the city. There are snowplows, there's salt galore, and you're in the city. It's cars on the roads all the time. It doesn't give anything a chance to, like, just accumulate to the point to where it's just everybody just snowed in. That doesn't happen in the city. It doesn't. Because yes, I'm talking to you city people. City people. Ones that live in the city, yes, does not happen. When you live in a major city, that doesn't happen. So I'm not understanding why people are out here buying all kind of crazy stuff. Mind you, half of the stuff is not even... It
expires. The expiration date is next week. What are you doing? You're going to have a bunch of spoiled food in your house.
Come on, let's be better. Let's do better, because you buy, like, people buying 9 gallons of milk. 9 gallons of milk. So unless you plan on making cheese anytime soon, I don't think 9 gallons of milk is going to do you benefits. And then whatever you put in the milk in also has an expiration date.
Let's be better. That's really all I gotta say is just let's be better.
Educate yourself with a reliable source of whatever it is that you're dealing with in all emergency type situations. Because if it really is an emergency and you're going crazy like that, or whatever the case is, it's like, it's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. People become too savagery. And it's like, savagery is not just people in the store being aggressive and buying off a bunch of savagery. Is also when a person is trying to sell you something and hiking prices up and doing all that stuff like that because they know that you feel like you need this. And it's disgusting. You know, humans got to be a lot better than that. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, at the end of the day, educate yourself. Like, prepare for certain things like this when there isn't a situation going on. You know what I'm saying? That's how you do that. But see, people, because if you're willing to spend all this unnecessary money when you think there's an emergency, you shouldn't have a problem with it when there isn't an emergency. You know, stock up. Do certain things that are going to help you just in case, you know, of an emergency type situation. Because then it's like you're not out there looking crazy with everybody else that's trying to last minute, like, oh my God. And then, you know, yes, things are flying off the shelves, and that's like fantastic for whatever industry is providing those products. However, what happens is after a while, people just don't have, like all of that stuff goes to waste.
You know, when things have expiration dates on it, they are real. Like, it's not one of those situations where it can have an expiration date on it, and then it's kind of like, oh yeah, I can still eat this.
Without getting sick.
Or without lacking all of the nutritional value that it's supposed to have. Like, come on. Like, let's be, if you want to really prepare for something, prepare when there isn't an emergency. Or when you're in your mind, you know, it's not an emergency or whatever, or there's not a situation that's going on where you feel like you have to rush out there, because it becomes dangerous. It really becomes dangerous because now everybody's trying to do the same thing. You know, fighting over different stuff. The more scarce products are or resources are, people become very, very crazy people. So, with that being said, guys, I just want you to live life and and be careful, and I will see you in the next video.